I want to pray God's continued blessing on you, your office, that of the clerk, and that of all the honorable members as you seek to lead territory going forward. May God grant you courage, patience, and a vision of where God would have us as a people be. Hear the words of Holy Scriptures from the Psalms. Psalm 1. Happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or take the path that sinners tread, or sit in the seat of scoffers. Their delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law is day and night. They are like trees planted by streams of water, which yield their fruit in its season, and their leaves do not wither. In all that they do, they prosper. And consciousness of our souls, and for the energy of our bodies, we offer ourselves to you in grateful thanksgiving. This morning we ask the Spirit's guidance on the speaker, the clerk, and the assistant clerk, and all the members who have assumed their responsibilities here in the House of Assembly. Lord God, the challenge of the age is upon us, but we cannot see, know, and understand unless you guide us. So we humble ourselves to you. We give ourselves to you that you will guide us so that our people may find guidance and be led into the way of truth and of righteousness. We pray your blessing upon the order paper today and all the discussions and debates that shall ensue. We pray that all may be done in order, guided by our Constitution, that all may be done in order, guided by the rules of the House, that all may be done in order in civility, knowing that what is done is not for self, but for the good of the people of these Virgin Islands. Into your care and keeping we commend the proceedings of this day, in the name of Jesus Christ, who taught us when we pray, we are to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Please be seated. This House now convenes its sitting. I call upon the clerk.
Item number 2, administration of oaths. Item number 3, confirmation of minutes.
Thank you. Honorable members, is it your pleasure that the minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of May 2023, which have been circulated to members, be confirmed? Yes, Honorable.
Madam Speaker, on page 4, item 11, the reference is to 69.3 of the Constitution. It's supposed to be 69.4. And on the same page 60, the reference is to 69.5, and that should be 69.4. Sorry.
Could you just repeat, Honorable?
On item, page 4, item 11, it refers to 69.3, and the end is supposed to be 69.4. And on item 16, it refers to 69.5. That should be 69.4. Madam Speaker, I was checking the, on page 7, the time members spoke. I don't have a correction for it, but it seems to be not correct, but
On page 7.
page 7, yeah.
Which one, Honorable? You're saying the whole of page 7 does not appear to be correct?
Yeah, because I was checking the time, Madam Speaker, and I didn't get this time, but whoever the timekeeper is, this is what it is.
Okay, I believe the clerk generally keeps that, Honorable. Thank you. Okay. Based on the minutes hereby stand confirmed as amended. I call upon the clerk. Let me just, before I move forward, are there any other amendments to note? Okay, then may I, in relation to the minutes? Okay, may I ask those who are in favor of those amendments? Aye. Okay, thank you. The amendments hereby stand confirmed. The minutes hereby stand confirmed as amended. My apologies. I call upon the clerk.
Item number 4, announcements by the Speaker. Item number 5, statements by ministers.
I call upon the Premier.
Madam Speaker, I rise to begin not with a formal written statement, but just to say, as the leader of government business, I want to congratulate Demoy Hodge for signing a two-way contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm subject to correction. I would think that's the first time a Virgin Islander has been in that type of situation. And we also acknowledge, of course, we had Virgin Islander Cleon Penn in the past, who had some association with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I also want to congratulate Luca Chalwell for being the first Virgin Islander to play professional football in the United Kingdom. And certainly we have other athletes who are doing a wonderful job, and I think noteworthy would be Adeja Hodge, who has been breaking records, world records, which I think we should acknowledge, Madam Speaker, and we congratulate all those persons and all the other persons in the Virgin Islands who are doing wonderful things. The Minister of Education, who has given her apologies for this meeting, will give a more detailed statement at the next House sitting. Madam Speaker, I wish to give a statement on international affairs. Since assuming office, my administration has been active in advancing the interests of the Virgin Islands at both regional and international levels. It is my privilege to update this Honorable House on the territory's international affairs, as we have continued to represent the Virgin Islands in various regional and international fora. Madam Speaker, in early May, I traveled to the United Kingdom, where I attended the coronation of His Majesty King Charles III. The coronation was certainly a historic event for the UK, overseas territories, crown dependencies, and the Commonwealth. Thereafter, I led a delegation to the Joint Ministerial Council in London between UK and OT ministers, which had been postponed in November 2022 because of political changes in the composition of the UK government. I was joined by Deputy Premier Honorable Lorna Smith OBE, which strengthened our representation. The meeting was hosted by OT Minister, the Right Honorable Lord Goldsmith, and attended by Foreign Secretary, the Right Honorable James Cleverly, other UK ministers and UK officials, as well as the premiers and ministers of the territories. Our discussions were aimed at strengthening UK support for the OTs and improving cooperation in key areas. Lord Goldsmith announced that Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Rishi Sunak, had agreed that each UK government department would have a minister that leads on OT matters. My proposal for the Virgin Islands to host a preparatory meeting of an agreed UK OTs illicit finance dialogue to deepen our engagement on protecting the global financial system was accepted by both UK ministers and OT leaders. It was also agreed to establish a technical working group on public registers. The Minister of Financial Services will elaborate on these in due course. The outcomes of the meeting are set out in the JMC communique, and I look forward to further dialogue with Lord Goldsmith, particularly on climate change and environmental matters. Madam Speaker, in early June, I traveled to the United Nations headquarters in New York to appear before the Special Committee on Decolonization, also referred to as the C24. I provided the committee with an update on the steps we are taking to advance the sustainable development of the territory, including the launch of the National Sustainable Development Plan that took place in February. I also informed them of where things currently stand in the relationship between the UK and the Virgin Islands. Madam Speaker, I did place on the record my administration's objection to the UK continuing to maintain an order in Council in reserve that can immediately suspend the Constitution. It is not necessary. UK parliamentarians, CARICOM, OECS, and the C24 agree with our position. I also expressed our deep concern about recent statements by the governor regarding him potentially obtaining additional powers over the Virgin Islands. This also is not necessary. Madam Speaker, while in New York, I also had a bilateral meeting with His Excellency Ambassador James Kariuki, the Deputy Representative of the UK Permanent Mission to the UN. We discussed improving BVI-UK relations and exploring UK support at UN level for BVI participation in climate change and sustainable development related initiatives. Madam Speaker, here in the Virgin Islands, my administration welcomed a high-level UN delegation to the territory from the 13th to the 15th of June to participate in a BVI UN Sustainable Development Forum. 10 UN agencies were represented at the high-level dialogue with government ministers and junior ministers on the 14th of June, both in person and virtually. They included ECLAC, UNDP, UNICEF, UNESCO, the ILO, the WFP, UNFPA, the IOM, and the FAO, and the Resident Coordinator's Office for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. The UN delegation was led by UN Resident Coordinator Mr. Didier Troubac. The UN delegation also met the Sustainable Development Goals National Coordinating Committee, comprised of the permanent secretaries of the ministries of government and chaired by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and Sustainable Development, Mr. Joseph Smith Abbott, and co-chaired by Permanent Secretary in the Premier's Office, Mrs. Carolyn Stout Igwe. Bilateral meetings were also held between respective government ministries and UN agencies with whom they are cooperating on programs. Additionally, Madam Speaker, members of the opposition received a briefing from UN representatives on the deliberations and had an opportunity to share their views on the areas of sustainable development they believe the Virgin Islands can benefit from UN support. By the end of the BVI UN Sustainable Development Forum, we identified a number of areas in which the UN can provide additional technical assistance to the territory. These include, among other things, migration and immigration policy support, revision of the youth policy, development of a student feeding program, strengthening of social protection and support for vulnerable groups such as the elderly, women, and youth, a sustainable energy audit, an energy transition policy for a low-carbon economy, digitization, collection and use of data, national planning, development of a national pension plan, design of an unemployment scheme, innovative financing for climate change and sustainable development, implementation of the Blue Economy Roadmap, and implementation of the National Sustainable Development Plan. We are following up with the UN on next steps in translating these identified areas into tangible support. Madam Speaker, at the regional level, I attended the 73rd OECS Authority meeting in St. Kitts and Nevis from the 18th to the 19th of June, where I had the privilege of addressing the opening ceremony as the most recently elected political leader. I called for the OECS to stay at the forefront of climate change and sustainable development issues at international fora. During the deliberations, we discussed a number of issues aimed at deepening regional cooperation and integration. Madam Speaker, I then traveled to St. Lucia, where I attended the annual meeting of the Caribbean Development Bank, where the British Virgin Islands assumed its rotation as governor on the bank's board as a borrowing member. I commended the work of CDB on the new metric for use in their credit process, which they refer to as internal resilience capacity. They have also given input to the UN on the development of a multi-dimensional vulnerability index that can be utilized when consideration for concessional financing and development assistance for small island development states like the Virgin Islands are given, that are classified as medium or high income, but highly vulnerable to external economic and environmental shocks. Importantly, in advance of the CDB meeting of the Board of Governors, the CDB held its first ever consultative meeting with the overseas territories in Anguilla. This was a highly productive engagement. The next such consultative meeting will be held here in the Virgin Islands, where I will host my OT Finance Minister colleagues and the President of the CDB and members of his team. Finally, Madam Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to inform this Honorable House that next week I will attend the 45th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of CARICOM. The Virgin Islands has been an associate member of CARICOM for 32 years. Our associate membership is one of the primary means by which we engage in regional cooperation that benefits the territory in a variety of ways, including the strong political support we have received over the past 2 years. It is highly appropriate that the Virgin Islands is present to demonstrate our solidarity with our neighbors and find solutions to problems such as regional transportation and food security that affect the region. Madam Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to update this Honorable House on international affairs matters, and will do so again at the next appropriate juncture. Madam Speaker, my next statement is my mid-year report on environmental matters. Madam Speaker, as we come to the end of Environment Month, I'm pleased to provide the House of Assembly with a brief mid-year report on environmental matters. Before I get into the details, Madam Speaker, let me take this opportunity to remind members and the public that the Ministry of Natural Resources and Labor has been restructured and renamed the Ministry of Natural Resources, Environment, and Climate Change. This is part of a deliberate effort afoot to ensure an enhanced institutional framework to better support the portfolios of the environment and climate change in particular. Madam Speaker, I'll start my report with sargassum management, a matter that I know all members of the House and the public have a high interest in. Mass sargassum landings are yet another one of the impacts of climate change that the Virgin Islands, like the entire Caribbean, is grappling with. While there are no easy and ready-made solutions, Madam Speaker, we are being proactive. The ministry is actively engaged in a regional Otis Darwin project led by CANARI, the Caribbean Natural Resources Institute. That project has resulted in the Virgin Islands Sargassum Adaptive Management Strategy that provides locally appropriate guidance to deal with sargassum landings. The territory also benefited from sargassum management training delivered in mid-May to representatives from the ministry and other key agencies, NGOs, private sector partners, and community members involved in sargassum management. Madam Speaker, in the realm of beach management, the ministry is moving forward with implementation of the Long Bay Beef Island Beach Management Plan, which was finalized in December. Implementation of Phase 1 of the plan is near completion, and the ministry looks forward to launching the bidding process for construction of vending units shortly, as it simultaneously continues with implementation of other aspects of the plan, including the public picnic area and environmental restoration. Madam Speaker, the Long Bay Beef Island Beach Management Plan is a pilot initiative, and the ministry looks forward to development and implementation of other plans to improve beach management in the territory. Madam Speaker, the matter of coral reef management is equally important. In this arena, the ministry, in partnership with the National Parks Trust, has formed a coral reef strike team in collaboration with Beyond the Reef and a number of private sector dive operators to fight the stony coral tissue loss disease. Since 2020, this rapidly spreading disease has posed one of the greatest threats to the coral reef health, and I'm pleased to report that the data now shows that the incidence of disease is stabilizing. This is the result of the hard work of the Coral Reef Strike team that has consistently treated infected reefs with antibiotics. Madam Speaker, closely related to the matters of coral reef and beach management is coastal water quality monitoring. The ministry has secured close to $1 million grant from the Resilience, Sustainable Energy and Marine Biodiversity Program, or RESEMBID, to implement a project to strengthen the Virgin Islands coastal water quality monitoring program. This program is critical to ensuring that our coastal and marine water quality, which support our tourism product and water supply, remain pristine. The ministry is advanced in procuring a vessel to support expanded water quality monitoring and engaging a consultant to develop a comprehensive coastal water quality monitoring program to international standards and an international development roadmap towards accreditation of the water quality laboratory. Madam Speaker, in the wider area of biodiversity management, Within the next couple of months, the ministry will launch development of a national biodiversity strategy and action plan through an OECS project. This effort is being complemented by the development of the UK Overseas Territories Biodiversity Strategy already underway. Madam Speaker, as we work towards enhanced environmental management, better data to support decision-making will become more and more paramount. In this respect, the members of the House would be happy to note the development of the National GIS Environment Data Hub earlier this year. The hub provides a repository to store environmental data and make it accessible to stakeholders. In addition, earlier this month, up-to-date coastal inventory maps were delivered to the territory. These maps provide a high-resolution picture of our salt ponds, beaches, coral reefs, seagrass beds, mangroves, and more, and will assist the ministry greatly in marine spatial planning and other efforts to ensure these resources are both protected and sustainably utilized. Madam Speaker, our beaches, coral reefs, coastal water quality, and biodiversity are all impacted by climate change. The work, therefore, to advance our climate change adaptation agenda is crucial. As such, Madam Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to report that the Virgin Islands Climate Change Trust Fund Board was reappointed and held its first meeting on June 6. The Trust Fund will be critical in ensuring that we can scale up funding for the great environmental protection, restoration, and management work that the ministry is doing among other priorities. Madam Speaker, I cannot close without mentioning work towards landmark legislation for the environment. I want the House to note that the Environment, Marine Estate, and Coastal Zone Management Bill 2022 is now being reviewed by the Ministry of Natural Resources, Environment, and Climate Change. We've had discussions with the Governor's Office, and we are keen to move this forward to Cabinet and onward to the House of Assembly. I look forward to bringing this important and long overdue piece of legislation to ensure the protection and sustainable development of the environment to the House of Assembly for its first reading soon. Madam Speaker, all of the matters I've touched on before relate to and support the Virgin Islands tapping into the blue economy, which presents large-scale economic potential. I'm pleased to confirm that the United Nations Development Programme has recently pledged its commitment to supporting the ministry in developing a framework to push forward the blue economy. This work would build upon the strategic blue economy roadmap approved last year. Madam Speaker, this update is in keeping with my commitment as Premier to ensure that due attention is given to environmental matters under my leadership. I look forward to providing the House with regular updates as I work with the Environment team to develop and implement an aggressive agenda to address environmental matters in the territory. Among other initiatives, Madam Speaker, as I alluded to in my speech for World Environment Day, we'll be revitalizing the Green Pledge program and ensuring that each ministry, department, and agency of government, including the House of Assembly, leads by reducing its energy use, waste production, and implementing greener practices. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also have a statement on tourism, a tourism industry update. Madam Speaker, I wish to provide an update on the work that the government of the Virgin Islands has been doing with respect to the further development of our tourism industry. Tourism, as we all know, is one of the two main engines of the Virgin Islands economy, accounting for approximately 40% of government revenues. This is money that is used to finance government activities such as the delivery of government services, payment of public officers' salaries, repayment of public debt, maintenance of infrastructure, and development projects. Tourism is also one of the largest generators of employment in the Virgin Islands, providing livelihood to our taxi and tour operators, hotel, charter, and restaurant workers, food and craft vendors, service providers, just to name a few. It is the leading driver of entrepreneurial activity and provides opportunities for persons to open and successfully run businesses, especially small businesses. In this regard, Madam Speaker, the Virgin Islands tourism industry receives a very high priority of care and attention from the government. To the credit of our past visionary Virgin Islands leaders, the Virgin Islands has developed a very robust tourism industry and a resilient product that is in high demand. Because of this, we were able to quickly rebound from the double whammy of the 2017 hurricanes and COVID-19. The Virgin Islands has a large global following of persons who are captivated by our beautiful beaches, stunning views, our inspiring sunsets, ideal sailing waters, spectacular reefs, wondrous dive sites, colorful cultural activities, warm and friendly service, and more. The BVI is their preferred vacation destination, and they are happy to return once they can get here. The Virgin Islands remains among the top tourist destinations in this part of the world. Madam Speaker, thanks to the untiring efforts of the government, the BVI Tourist Board, the BVI Ports Authority, the BVI Airports Authority, the Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Pack, the Virgin Islands Shipping Registry, HM Customs, the Immigration Department, and all our other stakeholders and partners, including the travel agencies, taxis, tour operators, and properties. The BVI's tourism industry has been on an upward trajectory. Preliminary data for 2023 shows that up to the end of April, the BVI received 459,652 visitors. This was, of course, before the June 1st, 2023 commencement of American Airlines historic daily direct flights between Miami and the BVI, which has been lifting our numbers. Our goal, Madam Speaker, is to hit 1 million passengers, or 1 million visitors, which will be the second time that milestone is achieved. Let us all unite around that effort by helping to promote our beloved Virgin Islands. For the first quarter of 2023, the BVI received 348,909 cruise visitors, 106,902 overnight visitors, and 3,841 day trippers. The total is more than 124% above the number of visitors received for the same period in 2022. The cruise subsector in particular has been performing outstandingly well. In February 2023, for instance, cruise arrivals were almost triple that of the previous year. Compared to the same period in 2022, first quarter 2023 cruise arrivals are at 249%. Overnighters are at 170%, and day trippers are at 197%. The World Tourism Organization has reported that international arrivals reached 80% of pre-pandemic levels in the first quarter of 2023. The BVI has exceeded the international average. Our total first quarter 2023 arrivals are at 107% of 2019 levels. Cruise arrivals are at 114%, overnight visitors are at 90%, and day trippers are at 70%. But while the figures show strong recovery and high interest, Madam Speaker, the 2022 total of 523,289 visitors is not the benchmark for the Virgin Islands tourism industry. Neither is the 2019 pre-pandemic total of 894,991 visitors. The more appropriate benchmark for us is the 1.1 million visitors that came to our shores in 2016, prior to the hurricanes of 2017, and we are getting back there. First quarter 2023 figures show that overall we are 87.5% up to our 2016 volumes. Cruise arrivals are at 99.95%. Overnight visitors are at 62.5%, and day trippers are at 74.5% of 2016 numbers. This is a decent position for us to be in, considering that the UNWTO, World Tourism Organization, forecast that the global industry will return to pre-pandemic levels in the later part of 2023 going into 2024. But Madam Speaker, we cannot sit back and take it for granted that we will simply be lifted up by the wave of the post-pandemic and global tourism recovery. A lot has been changing in the industry since 2016 and 2019. The industry has become more competitive as many other countries and destinations have intensified their focus and investments in tourism. Many have diversified their tourism product to offer additional experiences and value to their sun, sand, and sea product offerings. They are marketing aggressively to our same customer base. The dynamics of airlift and ease of access have changed as well. We have seen regional airlines cutting back on flights and reconfiguring their routes as some entered financial difficulties and as markets changed. The BVI has been affected by these developments. There have also been observed changes in traveler behavior. Who is traveling, where they are going, and why they are going to those destinations. It is not the same ball game that we have been accustomed to. In this highly competitive environment, Madam Speaker, we have to up our game. We have to be proactive and quick about it. The government strategy is a very straightforward and logical one. We will maintain our hold in the areas where we have been dominant, and in that regard, we will continue to support our existing model. Simultaneously, we will continue to identify our efforts to capitalize on other opportunities for growth. This includes exploring untapped potential and diversifying our tourism product portfolio. As we expand our market and increase demand, there are complementary areas that we must also address, such as airlift, the arrival experience, the appearance of our environment, and the suitability and condition of our infrastructure. The BVIAA and the Multi-Sector Airlift Committee, along with the Ministry of Communications and Works and the rest of the government, are engaging with airlines to improve the availability of airlift and access. Just 2 weeks ago, into its new direct service, American Airlines announced it will be doubling flights to the BVI from December 2023. Winair is introducing flights between the BVI and Antigua from July 2023. Another major airline will be flying into the BVI before the end of the year, and we are in discussions with other air service providers. Charter flights between Puerto Rico and Virgin Gorda are also set to commence in November 2023. The BVI is currently working on improving the arrival and departure experience at the Terence B. Lettsome International Airport. Infrastructure is critical to our success. The government is already committed to extending the runway at Beef Island, rebuilding the West End Ferry Terminal, which we should see some action on later this year, and separating cargo and passenger traffic at the ferry dock in Virgin Gorda. To complement our improved access to the territory, several properties are adding to the room stock, including Lambert. We will look at Prospect Reef Hotel in an effort to build a 5-star branded hotel. We have prospects for a hotel on Beef Island. We have the return of Peter Island and many other areas where persons are investing. This is good for the Virgin Islands. As mentioned, Madam Speaker, the BVI Tourist Board has been aggressively promoting Destination BVI and working with partners and supporters at home and abroad to increase visitor arrivals. The BVI Tourist Board completed Caribbean Tourism Organization meetings in New York between the 5th and 9th of June 2023. Over 25 top media professionals were met with to promote the BVI as a tourist destination. Further marketing and promotion of the BVI will take place at the Virtuoso Travel Week in Las Vegas, Nevada, from the 12th to the 18th of August 2023, where the BVI Tourist Board representatives will meet with top travel advisors from around the world to push the BVI as a top-tier destination for leisure travelers. Madam Speaker, the BVI Tourist Board is preparing to launch an international summer campaign to encourage persons to visit the destination in the off-peak season. 18 tourism partners have signed up to this internet-based campaign that will showcase BVI offers based on potential customer search and browsing patterns. The annual staycation program commences on the 1st July 2023 until October 2023 to encourage residents to vacation at home. This year, the campaign is open to the United States, Virgin Islands, St. Martin, Antigua and Barbuda, and Puerto Rico as well. Persons will be able to see deals on the electronic flipbook at a downloadable app. Also, among the upcoming events are the Non-Stop Concert on the 30th of June 2023, which features a cadre of international and local artists. The One Virgin Islands Poker Run on the 1st July 2023, which was well received last year, and Christmas in July on the 22nd of July 2023, when hundreds of boaters from Puerto Rico will flock to the BVI. In August, we have Emancipation Festival celebrations with a full slate of activities for residents and tourists alike. In November 2023, we will have the return of the Taste of Virgin Gorda, as well as the Anegada Lobster Fest. Madam Speaker, the BVI Tourist Board is enhancing its capabilities to drive the BVI in the face of a fiercely competitive industry. The BVI Tourist Board just completed participation in a product development workshop on the 19th June 2023 in response to the need for us to be more innovative in our products and marketing strategy. The workshop featured 35 participants and was facilitated by Aquila Center for Cruise Excellence in Canada. The workshop included training in identifying tourism trends, creating experiences, ensuring sustainability, exceeding expectations, maximizing opportunities, getting experiences to market, determining product readiness, and building packages and partnerships. Madam Speaker, as I mentioned, our approach is to maximize on our current tourism industry model, as well as to diversify our offerings so that we can expand the range of economic opportunities for entrepreneurs and tourism stakeholders. The outline for the workshop illustrates the areas that the international players in the tourism industry are focused on, and these are the same areas that the government has already espoused: identifying trends, creating new experiences to delight and attract visitors, bringing experiences to market, and building packages and partnerships. Industry trends are showing travelers want more out of their vacation. They're looking for cultural experiences and adventures. This synthesizes with our recently approved Virgin Islands Culture and Heritage Policy and Strategy, where while we preserve and develop our culture and heritage assets, we'll be enhancing our tourism product. Persons traveling for business are choosing destinations that will also provide leisure as a bonus. The BVI is ideal for those types of travelers, so we must promote and position ourselves as a preferred destination for meetings, conferences, and events, which is what we are doing. Entertainment tourism is a huge market, and the BVI has scenic locations to attract persons who are so inclined. But to gain the attention of the promoters, entertainers, and patrons, we have to let them know that we are available and interested. This is where our concerts and other events factor into the strategy. The benefits from a more vibrant and diverse BVI tourism industry will ripple across the length and breadth of our economy and will provide sustainable employment for our people. Madam Speaker, the BVI Tourist Board is playing a leading role in training and tourism education. As of April 2023, 453 persons were trained in hospitality and customer service. Persons are encouraged to contact info@bvitourism.com for training. The Junior Ambassador of Tourism competition was held on the 6th of June 2023 as a part of activations to bring tourism awareness to the community and the schools. This year's winner is Miss Naomi A. Amwufuju of Elmore Stout High School. Naomi will represent the BVI at the CTO State of the Industry Conference speech competition in October. Familiarization tours will be offered to students in October 2023 to allow them to get up close and personal look at our tourism sector in a real way outside of the classroom. Madam Speaker, as we focus on development of human resources, specifically for the tourism industry, the government of the Virgin Islands, in conjunction with BVI Asia Abroad Scholarship Program, also plans to award a bachelor's and master's scholarship at the bachelor's and master's scholarships at the Mako Institute for Tourism Studies in Mako, China. The Mako Institute is ranked number 10 in the world and number 1 in Asia and Mako, respectively. The deadline for applications is 10 July 2023. For more information, persons may visit bvihongkongoffice.com.hk. I encourage persons to apply. Education, training, and development like these initiatives equip our people to participate in the tourism industry, to gain meaningful employment, and to help to drive the growth of our tourism sector and the wider economy. Madam Speaker, our past and present successes in tourism are the result of our collective efforts as a people. So too, our future prospects will be what we choose to make of the present situation and potential opportunities. It will depend on our ability to be visionary and innovative, to be early to market and trend setters with new and exciting offerings, and whether we will be intuitive or lagging when it comes to spotting the emerging industry trends and getting in front rather than playing catch up with our competitors. I'm confident that our Virgin Islands will rise to the occasion, and together we will herald a new golden age for BVI tourism. The government is committed to doing our part, and we will continue to work closely with all our stakeholders and partners so that success will be assured. Madam Speaker, I thank you. Madam Speaker, I crave your indulgence as, if you would allow, I would like to give another statement after my ministerial colleagues have given their statements.
Is it that you don't have the statement currently?
The statement is here. I'm currently just making just a few minor amendments to it, Madam Speaker.
At this time, let me just take a brief break so that we can just continue with you and then move forward, because I do know we have quite a bit to get through today. So let's just take a short break. This House now resumes its sitting. I call upon the Deputy Premier and Minister for Financial Services, Labor and Trade, Honorable Lorna Smith.
Madam Speaker, I rise before this Honorable House to address the recent establishment of the Ministry of Financial Services, Labor and Trade. Madam Speaker, this insightful move is the government's strategic response to the multifaceted demands of our economy. By integrating these critical sectors under one umbrella, we can ensure better coordination of policy development and implementation as we seek out new opportunities to attract inward investment, identify innovative products and services. Our financial services sector can develop and ensure that we maintain the right skills to meet existing and future employer requirements across the business community. Madam Speaker, as you will know, there are significant global economic headwinds, all of which have the ability to adversely impact the BVI. It is this government's intent to ensure we maintain a robust and resilient economy capable of weathering as a financial services center that's well regulated as well as agile in the way we respond to new opportunities and active in our well-established Asian markets as well as our growing Latin American markets. However, Madam Speaker, I am also aware of the need for us to diversify in the longer term as the challenges to our core financial services business remain. With this in mind, I intend to mount a root and branch review of the sector, which will make recommendations on how we should plan the long term. Madam Speaker, as our financial services sector has developed and reached out to professionals across the world, interest in broader trade and investment opportunities in the BVI have emerged. This investment is urgently needed. We need to mobilize capital to address our infrastructure challenges, to help us innovate our new products and services, to diversify our economy, and to build resilience in our communities. Over the next few weeks and months, I will be exploring with colleagues how we progress these opportunities, using our trade missions and identifying new public-private partnerships to make that investment a reality. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to say that I have already begun this process through a first roundtable with the industry earlier this week. Madam Speaker, while our business success in financial services is integral to our successful economy, you will know that the key to a long-term sustainability is a diversified business community. I have begun a series of stakeholder meetings with our business community across the districts. We have so many individuals who are keen to put their business ideas into action and others who are succeeding, sadly, often against the odds, so to speak. And so, Madam Speaker, we will take action to demystify the business startup process, making it more accessible and less daunting for aspiring entrepreneurs, cutting red tape that gets in the way of so many of our business people. Action has already begun with a review of both the work permit and the trade licensing systems. Madam Speaker, I have held a first meeting with the Banking Association, which will become a quarterly event. At our next meeting, I will urge them to broaden their services for residents and local businesses, and I'm looking forward to seeing progress on those fronts. However, Madam Speaker, our business communities will only thrive with a skilled and adaptable workforce to support it. I am particularly focused on how we bring our young people, including our recent graduates, into the workforce. And I'm talking to businesses about how we can better train, mentor, and motivate them to fulfill their career ambitions. By investing in the growth and advancement of our people and importing only the skills we need, together we will create an environment where businesses thrive, individuals succeed, and the Virgin Islands prospers. Madam Speaker, as you know, recognizing technology's transformative potential, the government has included the integration of e-government, science, technology, and digital transformation portfolios into our ministerial remit, as well as economic planning and statistical service. These all speak to our focus on data-driven digital innovation and our technology-driven solutions that enhance service delivery, productivity, and our economic competitiveness. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, the establishment of the Ministry of Financial Services, Labor and Trade represents a significant milestone. It symbolizes the unwavering commitment of our government to implement practical solutions that drive economic growth, reinforce our key financial services economic pillar, enhance labor market conditions, and foster a positive business environment. In order to successfully achieve these goals, it is crucial that we allocate sufficient human and financial resources to support the initiatives of the ministry. We need the support of the members of this House, as well as partners from the public and private sectors and the wider community. Together, we will pave the way for a future of sustainable prosperity for the people of the Virgin Islands. Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I may, I would like to read a second statement.
Please proceed.
Thank you. And this is regarding a trade mission to Guyana. Madam Speaker, in late July, the Ministry of Financial Services, Labor and Trade proposes to lead a trade mission to Guyana. This mission represents a significant step forward in the BVI's ongoing efforts to foster market diversification and expand our international business. Madam Speaker, Guyana has emerged as an economic powerhouse, achieving an impressive overall economic growth rate of 62.3% in 2022. This exceptional growth can be primarily attributed to the expansion of the oil and gas sector, which experienced a remarkable growth rate of 124.8%. Consequently, Guyana has garnered global attention and is now recognized as the most promising investment destination in the Western Hemisphere. Projections from the IMF indicate that Guyana's GDP is expected to grow by 37% in 2023, driven by the discovery of over 11 billion barrels of recoverable oil since 2015. By 2026, the IMF projects that Guyana will lead the world in per capita oil production and experience significant economic expansion, with a GDP of 14.1 billion by 2025, nearly tripling the figure recorded in 2009. Foreign direct investment into Guyana has witnessed a substantial surge, increasing from 1.8 billion in 2020 to 4.3 billion in 2021. Again, primarily driven by investments in the oil and the gas sector. As Guyana transforms into a regional hub for international investment, the government is utilizing its oil revenues to drive transformative changes and enhance services for its citizens. Moreover, the government of Guyana provides incentives to encourage investment in various sectors, including agriculture, business support services, health, IT, manufacturing, and energy, particularly in outlying regions. Madam Speaker, Guyana's economic ascent is further underscored by its growing international relationships. In May of this year, Guyana established an embassy in Doha, solidifying its ties with Qatar and signifying its rising prominence in the global oil and gas industry. Notably, the IMF ranked Guyana second only to Kuwait in terms of countries with the highest oil reserves per capita, surpassing major players such as Saudi Arabia, Norway, and Qatar. Furthermore, Guyana signed a legally binding agreement with the EU in December of last year to promote its sustainable timber trade. Bilateral trade between Guyana and China has also experienced exponential growth, escalating from $265 million in 2018 to $1.88 billion in 2022, positioning Guyana as China's largest trading partner among CARICOM countries. In March of this year, a bipartisan U.S. congressional delegation visited Guyana. This visit aimed to strengthen bilateral and economic cooperation between the U.S. and Guyana while providing valuable insights into Guyana's remarkable economic growth. Madam Speaker, the BVI has established a strong track record in facilitating cross-border trade and investment. With reliable and efficient corporate structures supported by professional and legal expertise, the BVI is well positioned to contribute to the flourishing economic activity in Guyana. Furthermore, a significant cultural connection exists between the BVI and Guyana, as Guyanese individuals form the third largest immigrant group in the BVI, constituting a significant portion of the BVI's workforce. Guyana is currently attracting significant international attention, regularly hosting delegations from various nations, including the UK, Canada, on trade missions. The rapid pace of the country's economic growth and the vast untapped potential it offers have not gone unnoticed. However, it is important to note that while Guyana's economy is booming, its infrastructure and technological advancements lag behind those of more developed nations in the region, by nearly 30 years. This gap, therefore, provides an opportunity for businesses to contribute to and benefit from Guyana's rapid transformation, driven by its augmented budget and its flourishing economy. The window for tremendous growth and the potential to make significant impacts in various sectors is wide open. Overall, there is tremendous international interest from parties with capital who wish to invest in projects that will benefit Guyana while yielding impressive returns on investment. The BVI's proposed trade mission to Guyana aims to seize this unique opportunity and establish stronger ties with Guyana, identify mutual growth opportunities, and foster collaborative and prosperous relationships. The potential benefits of this trade mission could significantly impact BVI businesses, especially in the financial services industry, agriculture, and the broader economy, cementing a partnership that promises mutual prosperity and advancement for both territories. The proposed trade mission to Guyana represents a pivotal opportunity for the BVI to expand its reach in the financial services industry and establish stronger ties with a rapidly growing economy. By leveraging the BVI's expertise and track record, the territory can foster fruitful partnerships and position itself as an ideal facilitator for cross-border trade and investment. Madam Speaker, we see this trade mission as having great potential to drive significant growth for the BVI and foster mutually beneficial relationships with Guyana. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. I now call upon the Minister for Health and Social Development, Honorable Vincent Whitley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to give an update on the Social Assistance Review Report. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Health and Social Development recently made a final report of the social assistance in the British Virgin Islands review public. We are also seeking the public's input on the document. The public has an opportunity to make comments, submissions, and recommendations on the documents, which will help to shape the government's decision on how to create a policy surrounding social assistance in the Virgin Islands. The documents can be accessed at the Government of the Virgin Islands website at bvi.gov.vg. The public is also urged to submit their submissions to the Ministry of Health and Social Development via email at ministryofhealth@gov.vg or through physical mail at Ministry of Health and Social Development, Veronica's House of Commerce, Longbush, Tortola, British Virgin Islands, VG 1110. Madam Speaker, the main objective of this report is to provide analytical and advisory support to the Government of the Virgin Islands for reforming its social assistance programming and disbursement of community development grants to individuals and nonprofit organizations, NPOs. The report is also aimed at increasing harmonization, coordination, and transparency of the relevant policy and governance frameworks and strengthening the effectiveness. Madam Speaker, the urgency of the activities surrounding the review was prompted by the government's intention to review the existing systems and practices and to formulate alternatives that will strengthen the effectiveness and efficiency of the social protection policy instruments while respecting transparency and harmonization standards as recommended by the Commission of Inquiry. The Social Assistance in the British Virgin Islands Review Report was developed and prepared by the Social Policy Research Institute in support of UNICEF, Eastern Caribbean, and the Government of the Virgin Islands. The report reviewed the current design of social assistance benefit administered by the Ministry of Health and Social Development the Social Development Department, and other government entities, including the Ministry of Education, the House of Assembly, and the Premier's Office. In addition, a reform plan for the Virgin Islands was designed to provide an alternative option to target benefits to beneficiaries effectively. Madam Speaker, the report has several overarching recommendations on how we can improve our social assistance program to effectively assist our residents. The 5 overarching recommendations in the report include increasing the minimum wage closer to what the report concluded was the minimum livable wage to the territory, which is $12 to $15 an hour. The report also looked at having a universal children's grant, which should extend past education and healthcare benefits. There's mention of improving our pension scheme where the income gap for the elderly pensioners could be bridged by installing a pension-tied universal minimum social pension system. In addition, a disability benefit that related to the degree of disabilities for individuals, as well as installing unemployment benefits in the territory, were addressed in the final report. The report aligns with the Ministry of Health and Social Development's mandate to improve the management and delivery of government-funded grants for community-based initiatives and basic instructions for drafting legislative elements of the reform. Therefore, we want the public's input on a document so we can chart the way forward in providing adequate social assistance to persons in the Virgin Islands. Madam Speaker, I have one more statement. This is an update on the Small Islands Developing States, SIDS, Ministerial Meeting on Non-Communicable Diseases and Mental Health. Madam Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to provide a report to this Honorable House on my recent trip to Barbados from 11th to 16th of June to attend the PAHO WHO Small Island Developing States Ministerial Conference on Chronic Diseases and Mental Health and its significance to the territory. This meeting follows on from the earlier technical meeting also organized by PAHO and WHO, also held in Barbados from 17 to 18 January, which was attended by the Chief Medical Officer. At that meeting in June, my colleagues, the ministers along with myself, from 39 small island developing states, countries, and 18 associate members from all 6 World Health Organizations regions around the globe. The resolution agreed by ministers of SID will be taken forward in the next UN General Assembly in September 2023, the next World Health Assembly in January 2024, and the issues will also find themselves on the agenda of Conference of Parties COP28 in December 2023. At COP28, UN Climate Change Conference, issues of climate change and health will be on the agenda. At the UN General Assembly COP28 and the World Health Assembly, countries will be considering many issues, but the specific concerns of SIDS, chronic diseases, and mental health will be well represented. A strong message from all SIDS from the Bridgetown Initiative, which is a clarion call for the SIDS for development funding to be allocated on a more equitable basis considering the specific vulnerability of SIDS. In consideration of the special vulnerability of SIDS due to climate change, the initiative calls for reforms in how SIDS can access international development funding to invest in health and other emergent issues because of climate change and the highlight concentrate actions required on a world stage to deal with pandemic of chronic diseases and mental health issues. The Bridgetown Agreement is a landmark agreement designed to ensure that the largest polluters and contributors to climate change pay their fair share, and the small island developing states such as these Virgin Islands have access to necessary capital, emergency liquidity, and grants at a fair and equitable price to mitigate these climate change impacts. As the new Minister of Health, the exposure to best practices and networking with colleagues from SIDS around the world was invaluable. I also took the opportunity to visit the Winston Scott Polyclinic in Bridgetown and observe primary health care in action. I also met with the director of the Chronic Disease Resource Center and took time to visit St. George's College, the premier secondary school in Barbados, and discuss with the principal how she incorporates programs such as health and family life education across the curriculum and other health-promoting intervention. These informal engagements were a welcome addition to what was a very important conference. The conference highlighted the need to involve all sectors of government, civil society, and both service users and persons with lived experiences in a process of making policy and developing and evaluating programs. The role of the commercial sector, and in particular the impact of commercial determinants on health, was highlighted. Madam Speaker, government cannot act alone, and where commercial activity is having negative impacts on health, the sector must be engaged as vigorously as when we engage them on positive matter. The actions that negatively affect health and those required to positively impact health, and not only in the health sector, but also in every sector of government and society. Hence, a whole society approach is needed. Health is often seen as a net consumer of government revenue, and questions about revenue collection always arise. While revenue collection is very important, it is also equally important to not view health as a cost to society and the public purse, but more so as an investment in our greatest and most important resource. Health is an investment in people and the territory and the development of the territory. Health is a complete state of mental, physical, spiritual, and social well-being, not just the absence of disease. Honorable Mayor Amor Martley stated at a conference that health is everyone's first wealth. The World Health Organization's Universal Healthcare Strategy underscores the importance of ensuring equitable access to health care. It is imperative for us to ensure that appropriate, needed health care is accessible without bias. Without healthy people, we do not have productive people. Without productive people, we do not have a productive economy. Without these, we cannot develop as a territory. Interestingly enough, a healthy people is also a sign of a thriving economy and a well-developed territory. The two go hand in hand. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. I now call upon Minister for Communication and Works, Honorable Kai Reimer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. National Meteorological Services. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Communications and Works is responsible for meteorology. The efficient and timely movement of meteorological information is a fundamental requirement of modern meteorology, and it provides information about weather conditions that can affect life and safety. Earlier this week, my team and I, along with our relevant agencies, airports, authority, and disaster management, met with Dr. Eileen Lang, Coordinating Director of the Caribbean Meteorological Organization, CMO, and her team to initiate discussions on implementing a national meteorological service here in the territory. The Antigua National Meteorological Service currently provides meteorological services to the Virgin Islands. However, the National Sustainable Development Plan, Vision 2036, Building a Sustainable Virgin Islands, highlights concerns with severe or extreme weather events, climate and climate change that warrant action to mitigate these effects on these islands. Therefore, the Ministry of Communications and Works is developing a national meteorological office to provide efficient and timely movement of meteorological information, which is necessary to provide forecasted data about weather conditions that can affect safety and improve sustainability. Climate change impacts such as changing wind patterns, clear air turbulence, increased sector times, and routing modifications can affect air transport operations. The Virgin Islands Climate Vulnerability and Risk Assessment Report estimates that climate change could impact the coastal and marine sectors of the Virgin Islands. Also, the Virgin Islands Climate Change Adaptation Policy recognizes the impacts of climate change on various sectors, including the aviation industry, and emphasizes the need for adaptation measures to reduce risk and build resilience. Severe or extreme weather events, climate variability, and projected climate scenarios can affect the aviation industry's safety, efficiency, and profitability in the Virgin Islands. Therefore, developing a national meteorological service through a dedicated office is crucial to efficiently and effectively achieving several of the National Sustainable Development Plan's national outcomes. The Virgin Islands economy relies on tourism, fishing, the marine environment, agriculture, aviation, and other services, which are all affected by the territory's weather and climate conditions. The region is vulnerable to coastal and marine hazards, and extreme weather events and climate variability have historically impacted sustainable development. Recent events like floods and hurricanes demonstrate the need to invest in local weather forecasting capabilities to reduce disaster risk. The National Sustainable Development Plan emphasizes building a stronger, more resilient BVI by looking for new ways to improve the safety and resilience of communities throughout the BVI, with disaster resilience built through collaborative approaches that are coordinated, locally led, and supported with government resources. A national meteorological service through a dedicated office is crucial to the efficiency and effective achievement of several of the plan's national outcomes, such as those directly linked to weather, climate, and water. These include, but are not limited to, hazard, risk reduction, and sustainable adaptation to climate change, sustainable energy and water, sustainable management and use of the environmental and natural resources, developing the blue economy, and peace, justice for all, safety, and security. Madam Speaker, according to the Constitution of the Virgin Islands, the government is responsible for protecting the right to life for each citizen as enshrined in Chapter 2, Article 11(1). Every person has a right to life, which shall be protected by law. This is aligned with the functions of meteorological services, such as early warning to prevent loss of life. National meteorological services are vital institutions for ensuring the safety and well-being of the people. As noted in the preamble to the World Meteorological Organization, WMO Convention, reaffirming the vital importance of the mission of the National Meteorological, Hydrometeorological, and Hydrological Services in observing and understanding weather and climate, and in providing meteorological, hydrological, and related services in support of relevant national needs, which should include the following areas: A, protection of life and property; B, safeguarding the environment; C, contributing to sustainable development; D, promoting long-term observation and collection of meteorological, hydrological, and climatological data, including related environmental data; E, promotion of endogenous capacity building; F, meeting international commitments; and G, contributing to international cooperation. An Office of National Meteorological Services in the Virgin Islands would improve weather observation and forecasting, provide data for infrastructure planning, and issue warnings and alert for hydrometeorological hazards. It would also maintain a historical record and provide relevant advice on national weather, climate, water, and environmental data issues for decision-making by the public and private sectors. The CMO assists member states in upgrading their national meteorological services and will support us in developing our national meteorological service. They have developed modern legislation and policy to strengthen the legal foundation of the services. Additionally, almost all the meteorological personnel of relevant government and statutory agencies have already received professional training at the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology in Barbados. Madam Speaker, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the agreement for establishing the Caribbean Meteorological Organization, CMO, signed in October 1973. The CMO is a specialized institution of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, which is also celebrating its 50th anniversary. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, developing a national meteorological service through a dedicated office is a significant step towards addressing concerns related to severe weather events, climate, and climate change in the territory. With the support of organizations like the CMO and the WMO, we can work towards building a resilient and sustainable future for the citizens of the Virgin Islands. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to give a brief update on the Board Point wastewater treatment plant. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to provide an update on the progress of works at the Board Point wastewater treatment plant. On 22nd August 2022, the government of the Virgin Islands signed an agreement via the Ministry of Communications and Works with Bywater International Limited in the amount of $2,594,317.86. To date, Madam Speaker, a total of $1,734,321.77 has been expended on the project. I previously informed this Honorable House that the plant is currently inoperable, which continues to pose a significant threat to our marine environment. As a result, the importance of this project and reaching to a state where the plant is commissioned once again is a high priority for me and the ministry. As part of the repairs and commissioning of the plant, we have incorporated a receiving station to allow the sewage pump trucks to dump at the Board Point plant. This will eliminate the need for the pump trucks to continue to dump sewage in the heart of Road Town at the main pump station at the roundabout. Madam Speaker, as we seek to improve our city of Road Town, we have to put measures in place to enhance our aesthetics and the way that we operate, including our pump station. By having these types of operation relocated to the soon-to-be commissioned plant at Board Point, will allow for monitoring and logging of pump trucks while avoiding the sight of sewage being dumped in plain sight of tourists and residents alike. Madam Speaker, my ministry has engaged Bywater International Limited to procure the necessary equipment and material to replace the damaged equipment and material at the plant. As you would appreciate, these equipment and material are specialized and would have a long lead time in the manufacturing process. Madam Speaker, in accordance with the most recent work program and schedule, the plant is anticipated to be completed and commissioned in August 2023. Madam Speaker, civil works are near to completion at the Board Point wastewater treatment plant, which includes the construction of a new main control center to house the control panels and associated equipment. The majority of the material has been procured and received at the wastewater treatment plant site there at Board Point. Bywater is currently setting up to send forward an electrical engineer to complete all electrical works to advance the project towards completion. Madam Speaker, this project is a priority for my ministry, and we look forward to the tertiary treatment of the sewage received from the Road Town environs once the plant is commissioned. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. Before we move on, I just wish to state for the record that the following members have offered apologies for today's absence. Minister for Education, Youth Affairs, and Sports, Honorable Shari De. Member for the 6th District, Honorable Myron, and Member for the District, Turnbull.
Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to move a motion to amend the order paper so that the current 7 becomes a new 6. And the current 9 becomes the new 7. And the current 6 becomes 8. And the current 8 becomes 9. And also, Madam Speaker, we will propose. I'll do that one more time, Madam Speaker, and then I'll propose an addition to the order paper. The current 7 will become 6. The current 9 will become 7. The current will become 8. And the current 8 will become 9. And 10 and 11 would remain the same. Now, Madam Speaker, I am also proposing a new Roman numeral 3 under which would be the new 7. And that would be for the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Amendment Bill 2023, first reading. I'm sorry?
The subsequent number.
Okay, and all other items will be renumbered sequentially. So I'll go through that one more time, Madam Speaker, just for clarity. The current 7 will become 6. The current 9 will become 7. The current 6 will become 8. And the current 8 will become 9. 10 and 11 would remain as is. And under 7, I propose a new Roman numeral 3, which is for the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Amendment Bill 2023. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I second motion.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable members, a motion has been moved and seconded for the reordering of the order paper. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. The order paper has been amended. At this time, I call upon the clerk.
Item number 6, notices of motions given orally.
Thank you. I call upon the Premier and Minister of Finance to give notice.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to give notice that at a later stage in the proceedings, I will seek leave to move the motion standing in my name under item number 7, 1, Roman numeral 1 through Roman numeral 4 on the order of the day. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I call upon the Leader of the Opposition and Territorial Member to give notice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to give notice that at a later stage in the proceeding, I will seek leave to ask a question standing in my name under item 9, Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Thank you. I call upon the Deputy Speaker and Territorial Member to give notice.
Good day, Madam Speaker. Good day, Madam Speaker. I rise to give notice that at a later stage in the proceedings, I will seek leave to ask questions standing in my name under item 9, Roman numeral 5 through Roman numeral 8 on the order of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. I call upon the member for the 3rd District to give notice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I give notice that at a later stage in the proceedings, I will seek leave to ask questions standing in my name. Madam Speaker, I give notice that at a later stage in the proceeding, I will seek leave to ask the question standing in my name under items 9 through 912 on the order of the day.
Thank you. I call upon the member for the 8th District to give notice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I give notice that at a later date in the proceedings, I would seek leave to ask the questions standing in my name under item 9, Roman numeral 13 through Roman numeral 16 on the order of the day. Madam Speaker, while I'm on my feet, I seek permission on behalf of the member of the 6th District to give notice that at a later stage in the proceedings, he would seek leave to ask a question standing in his name under item 9, Roman numeral 17 through Roman numeral 20 on the order of the day.
Thank you, Honorable. I call upon the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to give notice on behalf of the member for the 2nd District that he will seek leave to ask the question standing in his name under item 9, Roman numeral 11 through Roman numeral 14 in the order of the day.
21, sorry. 21 to 24.
21 to 24, sorry.
24.
That's okay, Honorable. Thank you. I call upon the clerk.
Item 7, public business. 1, government business.
Thank you. I call upon the Premier and Minister of Finance to move a motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that leave be granted to introduce the following bill standing in my name shortly entitled Merchant Shipping Amendment Act 2023.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that leave to introduce the bill shortly entitled Merchant Shipping Amendment Act 2023 be granted. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. I now call upon the Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I introduce the bill standing in my name shortly entitled Merchant Shipping Amendment Act 2023. I will explain its provision at the second reading. Madam Speaker, I move that the bill shortly entitled Merchant Shipping Amendment Act 2023 be now read a first time.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled Merchant Shipping Amendment Act 2023 be now read a first time. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. I call upon the clerk to read the bill for the first time.
This act may be cited as the Merchant Shipping Amendment Act 2023.
Thank you. I call upon the Premier and Minister of Finance to move a motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that leave be granted to introduce the following bill standing in my name shortly entitled Virgin Islands Shipping and Maritime Authority Act 2023.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that leave to introduce the bill shortly entitled Virgin Islands Shipping and Maritime Authority Act 2023 be granted. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. I now call upon the Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I introduce the bill standing in my name shortly entitled Virgin Islands Shipping and Maritime Authority Act 2023 and will explain its provision at the second reading. Madam Speaker, I move that the bill shortly entitled Virgin Islands Shipping and Maritime Authority Act 2023 be now read a first time.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled Virgin Islands Shipping and Maritime Authority Act 2023 be now read a first time. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. I call upon the clerk to read the bill for the first time.
This act may be cited as the Virgin Islands Shipping and Maritime Authority Act 2023.
Thank you. I call upon the Premier and Minister of Finance to move a motion.
Madam Speaker, can I just ask for a very brief recess?
All right. We will take a brief recess at this time.
So this box will wait for the speaker. Everybody else.
This House now resumes its sitting. Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that leave be granted to introduce the following bill standing in my name, shortly entitled Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Amendment Bill 2023.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that leave to introduce the bill shortly entitled Retiring Allowance Legislative Service Amendment Bill 2023 be granted. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. I now call upon the Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I introduce the bill standing in my name shortly entitled Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Amendment Bill 2023. Madam Speaker, I move that the bill shortly entitled Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Amendment Bill 2023 be now read a first time.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Amendment Bill 2023 be now read a first time. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. I call upon the clerk to read the bill for the first time.
This act may be cited as the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Amendment Act 2023.
Thank you. Honorable members, at this time, we will take our recess until Friday, 7th July 2023 at 10 a.m. This House is now in recess.